welcome to the deep dives, right?
Yeah.
Where we like to pick a topic and really, get into it. This time, this time we're dealing with something you don't see every day. We've got politics, we've got sports, and, well, some rather interesting comments from a certain former president.
Yeah, it's not your typical combination. It's definitely an interesting mix of personalities and public perception, and some might even say it's a little, inappropriate.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
So we're just about Donald Trump, our former president, and some things he had to say about, well, the legendary Arnold Palmer. And here's the kicker. He said these things at a campaign rally in Palmer's very own hometown, Latrobe, Pennsylvania.
Wow. The Trobe, huh? For those who might not know, Arnold Palmer wasn't just some golfer. He was an icon, especially in his hometown.
Absolutely. He was like the king of golf, Making those kinds of comments in Latrobe, it's like, I don't know, it's a bold move, to say the least.
Definitely a conversation starter. It makes you think about legacy of public figures and the impact of words.
No kidding. So, okay, picture this. Trump's at this rally in Latrobe, and he brings up Arnold Palmer. But he doesn't talk about his golf game or anything like that. Instead, he starts telling this story about Palmer's, well, let's just say, his anatomy. He makes a comment about Palmer's genitals. Can you believe that?
He said that at a political rally.
At a campaign rally in Palmer's hometown. Talk about a strange choice of anecdote.
You have to wonder what he was thinking. Did anyone close to Palmer ever respond to that?
Oh, they did. His daughter, Peg Palmer, had a lot to say about it, actually, but we'll get into that in a bit. First, though, this wasn't just some random out-of-character thing for Trump.
You're saying there's a pattern here with him and these sorts of comments.
Well, let's just say this isn't the first time Trump has made comments about genitalia, when it probably wasn't, the most appropriate time.
Can you give a good example?
Well, remember back in 2016 when Marco Rubio made that comment about Trump's hands? Yeah, well, Trump, he felt the need to defend a different part of his anatomy, if you catch my drift. And then there was that whole alleged phone call with Stephanie Grisham, his press secretary. Apparently he went on about, well, the size and shape of his genitals. All this, mind you, in response to those allegations from Stormy Daniels.
So this Arnold Palmer comment, while, yes, surprising, it kind of tracks with his history.
Exactly. It makes you think about how he views these people, like Arnold Palmer, a man known for his class and integrity. It's really something.
Yeah, it's a real head-scratcher, especially when you consider how Palmer's family felt about it. His daughter, Peg, gave an interview back in 2018, and she did not hold back.
Oh, she went there. Peg basically said her father would have been disgusted by Trump's behavior. And here's the thing. Arnold Palmer, he was a conservative guy, politically speaking.
So even though he might have agreed with some of Trump's politics, he still had a problem with this behavior.
Totally. I mean, we're talking about Peg describing her dad like making disgusted noises just watching Trump on TV. And this was before the 2016 election even. This wasn't about disagreeing on policy. This was different. Peg said her father, he was all about honesty, respect, being a good role model, things she felt Trump, didn't exactly embody.
It's about character, right? How you
Yeah.
carry yourself, especially when you're in the public eye.
Exactly. And to really hammer that home, Peg even said her father distanced himself from Trump when he got into politics. It wasn't like it was a secret they knew each other. I mean, golf world, right?
Mhm.
Big names. But that relationship, it definitely changed once Trump was in the political arena.
Really says something about their values, doesn't it? Even if they had golf in common, at their core, the way they saw things night and day.
It makes you think about what you say,
Yeah.
especially for these public figures. Trump probably thought he was telling a funny story, but those comments, they said something else.
Yeah.
Something that went against everything the guy he was talking about stood for.
There's a disconnect there. A real lack of awareness about how those words would be received, especially by people who admired Palmer. And this wasn't the only time Trump's comments about Palmer raised some eyebrows. Remember that whole thing during the 2016 campaign about the letter of support?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't there something about whether it was real or not?
Exactly.
So Trump's waving around this letter, claiming it's from Arnold Palmer, endorsing him, right? Turns out that letter was from way back in 2008. Palmer's family confirmed he hadn't written anything to Trump in 2016. Let's just say they were not happy about Trump using their father's name, his legacy, for political points, especially given, well, everything else we've talked about.
Wow. So it's more than just one comment. It seems like a pattern.
It does, doesn't it? It's almost like Trump had to make himself part of Palmer's story, even if it meant twisting the truth a little or even disrespecting his memory a little bit.
Mhm.
It's wild, right? Like he's trying to rewrite history, or at least like control how people see Palmer's legacy.
Yeah. Which brings up a really interesting point about legacy in general. It's something we're always wrestling with, especially with these public figures. How do you reconcile conflicting information about someone? Who do you believe?
Big questions, right? And these days, with social media and all that, it feels like everyone's got a platform and a story they're pushing. Makes it tough to figure out what's real and what's not.
Absolutely. We're drowning in information coming from every direction. It can be overwhelming trying to figure out what's genuine and what's, been spun for some agenda.
And that, in a way, is what makes this whole Trump-Palmer thing so interesting. It forces us to face those questions head on. It's not just about, some off-color comment. It's about power, legacy, and how we think about the people we admire.
It makes you think about the standards we have for public figures, too. Do we expect a certain level of decorum no matter what side of the aisle they're on?
Exactly. It makes you wonder if this kind of thing would have even flown a few decades ago.
Right. Has the bar just dropped? Or have these things always been said, just not so publicly?
It's a lot to think about, that's for sure. But I think that's what we do here on the Deep Dive, right?
Yeah.
We don't have all the answers, but we get people thinking about this stuff on a different level.
Exactly. Asking the tough questions, challenging our assumptions, recognizing that the world is a complicated place.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've successfully navigated this, let's call it, an interesting intersection of politics, sports, and, shall we say, questionable judgment.
We went through the events, sure, but more importantly, we explored the meaning behind it all. What does this say about how the public sees things? About legacy? About the power of words?
For sure. And to everyone listening, what do you think? Did this change how you see Arnold Palmer, Donald Trump? How about the whole idea of public image versus, who someone really is? Find us on social media. Let us know what you think.
Until next time, keep asking those tough questions. Keep digging for the truth. And as always, keep diving deep.